Shalom, friends. In the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew presented Jesus as a great and powerful teacher, more powerful than the greatest of all teachers in the Old Testament, Moses. Now, in chapters 8 and 9, which form a single unit, Matthew will present Jesus as a powerful miracle worker and healer. Traditionally, scholars counted 10 miracle stories in this unit because they found a connection in the rabbinic tradition of the Old Testament, where God performed 10 miracles in Egypt, 10 miracles at the Red Sea, and later 10 miracles in the sanctuary. We shall actually consider them as 9 miracles divided into 3 groups of 3 stories each, with a buffer on discipleship. The first trio of miracle stories we form first the cleansing of the leper, healing of the centurion's servant, healing of the Peter's mother-in-law, with the first buffer on the cost of discipleship. The second trio consists of stilling of the storm demoniacs at Gadara and the healing of the paralytic, with a second buffer on the joy of discipleship. The third trio, raising of the ruler's daughter, healing of the 2 blind men, and the healing of the dumb demoniac, with the final buffer, the discipleship leading to the mission. 2 highlights of the entire unit are: there is first of all Jesus the hero, the center of attraction, the majestic, all-powerful Christ who fulfills the prophecies of Old Testament, the mighty Messiah, yet humble servant prophesied by Isaiah. Secondly, the beneficiary, the petitioner, who has great faith that expressed in prayer. You can note that Jesus rebukes little faith or lack of faith. Let us get to the different miracle stories. The first series of miracle stories are all stories of healing and restoration. We find something common to all these stories. There are 3 types of people. All of them are marginalized and excluded people: leopard, a Gentile soldier, and the woman. Leopard is excluded from the society because of the special kind of disease. In fact, no other deceased carried the social stigma as that of leprosy. Socially and religiously, he is ostracized from the society, as we read in Leviticus chapter 13. While centurion is a Gentile person who is despised by the Jewish people. And the case of the woman who does not share the same status as that of her contemporary male person. There are 2 clues to understanding the theology of Matthew that we find in the first account. There are 2 favorite vocabularies in the Gospel according to Matthew concerning his own theology. In the first account of the healing of the leopard. The leopard came to him and knelt before him. That word, knelt, in Greek is proskuneo, which is a symbol of worshipping. In the second chapter of Matthew, we encountered the wise men who came to meet Jesus, and they prostrated themselves, they worshipped, proskuneo. And this is a vocabulary used only by a person who accepts the divinity of Jesus. So to this leper. Secondly, the address Lord, Kyrie. This title, Kyrie, is again used only by a believer, a person within the community of Jesus. Others call Jesus as Rabbi or teacher. And look at the request of this leopard. Lord, you can make me clean. He did not make a request, please heal me. All diseases are cured, but leprosy is cleaned. Because after the cure, the leper has to be made ritually clean. He is sent to the priest to get a medical certificate that he can be reinstated into the society. Second case of the centurion, who is the symbol of a powerful faith. He is a Gentile, so despised by the Jews, but he is a centurion, meaning he has got power over 100 soldiers. And the statement that makes to Jesus, even after 2000 years, every day used in the Eucharistic celebration of the Latin Rite of the Catholic Church. Lord, I am not worthy to have you under my roof. This declaration of the faith of a centurion will be proclaimed till the end of the earth, as long as the Eucharist is being celebrated. And Jesus is marveled. Only time that word is used in the Gospel according to Matthew. The third case of Peter's mother-in-law, Jesus himself takes the initiative to heal her, and he touches her, and the cure is instantaneous. That's why she gets up and serves him. We have the second trio, starting with the stilling of the storm, where the omnipotence of Jesus is mentioned. He is no more a healer only. He has got power over the natural calamities. And Matthew mentions that they are held up in the boat, and there is a great earthquake. This same earthquake is mentioned at the time of the death of Jesus and at the resurrection of Jesus. For Matthew, earthquake is the sign of the appearance of the divinity, as in the Old Testament. And this boat represents the church. Jesus in the boat with the disciples, and they are frightened even at the presence of Jesus, because they did not recognize that Jesus is the Lord. He has got power over the earthquake and the storm. In the midst of trials and persecutions, it is natural to cry out. But Jesus says, you men of little faith. Finally, the case of the demoniacs at Gadara, who declare the divinity of Jesus. They immediately notice that Jesus is the Son of God. And in the story, Jesus casts them out, that Jesus has got power over the evil powers and Satan. And we will continue with the power of Jesus to forgive sins in the next class. And may the grace of God be with you always.